Hey everyone, and welcome. Today, we're going to dive into a really powerful idea. What if our communities could be designed not just to get by, but to actually heal our planet and build real lasting wealth for the people who live in them?
And that's a huge question, right? Because we usually think of living an eco-friendly life and being financially prosperous as two separate things, maybe even opposites. But what if we've been looking at it all wrong? What if there's a model where they don't just coexist, but actually fuel each other? So let's dig in.
Okay, so before we can talk about where we're headed, we've got to get real about where we are right now. For millions and millions of us, modern city life is becoming a major source of stress and insecurity, and it's pushing people to look for a better way.
And yeah, these points probably hit pretty close to home for a lot of you. We see it every single day, right? Housing prices that are just out of control, the daily headache of traffic, a cost of living that seems to do nothing but climb. And beyond just the money, there's this feeling of being disconnected from the natural world and sometimes even from our own neighbors. And if the last few years taught us anything, it's how shaky our global supply chains are. All of this is creating a massive push to rethink the very basics of how we live. But here's the thing. This isn't just about running away from the city. It's about consciously building something much, much better. And to do that, you need a blueprint, a science for how we live together. And that brings us to this fascinating field called Ekistics. So picture this. It's the 1940s, and this Greek architect, Constantinos Doxiadis, has a big idea. He says, hey, if we want to build better places to live, we need a real science for it. A science that treats our towns and cities like living, breathing organisms. The whole point isn't just to build bigger and bigger, but to build smarter, to find that sweet spot, the perfect size for a community that actually works for human beings.
The way Ekistics looks at it is pretty cool. It breaks a community down into 5 key parts that all have to work together. You've got nature, right? That's the foundation. Then there's us, the individual humans, and how we form a society. Then you have the shells. That's all our buildings and homes. And finally, the networks that connect everything, like roads and communication. For a place to be truly healthy, you need all 5 of these in harmony.
Okay, so we have our blueprint for designing at a human scale. Now let's add another really critical layer to this. For years, the big buzzword has been sustainability, but a new, more powerful way of thinking is taking over. It's called regenerative design. And this chart, man, it lays out the difference perfectly. Sustainable design is all about trying to minimize our damage, right? To do less harm. And look, that's a good first step, but its goal is basically to just be less bad. Regenerative design, on the other hand, is a total game changer. It sees us as part of nature, not separate from it. Its goal isn't just to stop doing harm, but to actively heal and improve the ecosystems we live in, to have a net positive impact. And this quote just nails that whole philosophy. It's all about restoring that relationship between us and the natural world so we can evolve together. It's about making our communities and the ecosystems around them healthier so everyone and everything can thrive. So really, the whole game is shifting from being a burden on the planet to being a partner with it.
All right, so we've got Ekistics for the human scale design, and we've got regeneration for making a positive impact. So what happened when you put them together? Well, that's when you got a practical, real-world model. It's called the Circular Economy Village, or CEV for short. This is where all that theory becomes reality. A CEV is a community that's designed from the ground up to work like a natural ecosystem. By cleverly weaving our human needs for energy, water, food, and shelter into the natural systems around us, the whole idea of waste basically disappears. So how does it actually work? It's this beautiful integrated system. Step 1, it all starts with a local renewable energy microgrid. That clean energy then powers a water microgrid, which captures and recycles all the community's water. That water, in turn, supports a local regenerative farm. And finally, any organic waste from the people and the farm gets turned into compost to build amazing healthy soil, which, you guessed it, grows more food. It's a perfect closed loop. But it's not just about the core infrastructure. CEVs are also designed for how we live today. You've got co-working hubs for the remote work economy, shared electric vehicles, and get this, they're all powered by that local microgrid. There's even housing for the people who grow the food. Most importantly, the community manages its own assets, and it's designed for a specific number of people. That creates stability, which is key for long-term planning and success. Okay,
And this is where we get to the other really important half of our big question, the money. Because this model isn't just some feel-good ecological project. It's a serious blueprint for building real, durable, community-based wealth. So if you live there, what's in it for you? Well, the benefits are huge, and you feel them right away. We're talking about housing that's actually affordable because it's not built for speculation. Your cost of living just plummets because your food, energy, and transportation are all hyperlocal and efficient. And with new job opportunities right there in the village, that long, soul-crushing commute could become a thing of the past. Okay, so that's great for residents, but what about the developers and investors? How do they make money? This is where the model gets really clever. It's perfect for what's called a build-to-rent model. Instead of building, selling, and getting out, developers keep ownership and earn a steady, reliable income for years. And that totally changes the game. Suddenly, it makes perfect business sense to use high-quality, durable materials that will last, because that lowers your costs down the road. And attracts a different kind of investor, one who wants stable, long-term returns, not a quick, risky flip. This table really breaks down that new economic engine. You're creating a real local economy, which means the money stays right there in the community, benefiting the people who live there. You're creating a space for innovation and new businesses to pop up, and it's all built on a foundation of long-term investment that values health and stability over risky speculation. This is how you build a truly prosperous place. And when you put all that together, the result is something completely different from what we're used to. You get a local economy that is strong, self-sufficient, and incredibly resilient. Instead of value being pulled out of a neighborhood, the capital circulates within it, empowering local people and making the entire community stronger. So that brings us back to the big picture. This isn't just about building one perfect little village somewhere. This is about a whole new pattern for how we can grow. Imagine a whole network of these communities connected to each other, trading, sharing knowledge, creating a more resilient, decentralized, and truly prosperous way of life. Could that be the future we're all looking for? It's a pretty amazing thing to think about.